Portable ladders. There may be times when you'll need to use a portable ladder on the job site. Follow these safety tips when doing so. Inspect the ladder before using it. Immediately report any defects to your supervisor or foreman. Always use the ladder of sufficient length to reach the work area safely. Extension ladders should be erected using a 1:4 ratio, meaning for every 4 foot of vertical height, the base of the ladder extends 1 foot out from the structure. Always place the ladder on a firm, flat surface. Never place the ladder on any other object to extend the reach. Tie or secure the ladder at the top and tie or brace the bottom. Never use the ladder in the closed position. Always brace and tie the ladder to support and prevent the ladder from moving when weight is placed on the ladder. Never exceed the weight rating of the ladder. If unsure of the weight rating of the ladder, check the rating on the label located on the ladder or ask the supervisor or foreman for assistance. When using extension ladders, it must extend at least 36 inches above the top edge, plank, scaffold, or deck when used for access and/or egress. Don't place a ladder against any equipment or electrical outlet or on objects that may move unexpectedly. Always face the ladder when climbing, maintaining a 3-point contact at all times. Never climb with tools or equipment in your hands. Use tool bags or handling to raise and lower equipment. Never use the top 2 steps of the ladder. Don't reach beyond 1 arm's length from the ladder to perform work. Move the ladder to a closer spot and work from a closer position. Don't use metal ladders in or around electrical equipment. Don't use ladders on a scaffold or as part of a scaffold. When using a ladder that's close to a doorway, either shut the door and lock it or secure the door in open position with a worker on guard. If you're using an extension ladder and it's fully extended, make sure that there are at least 4 rungs overlapping. Don't splice or lash ladders together. Use a safety belt if the work to be done requires the use of both hands. Finally, remember that only one person should be on a ladder at a time. Scaffolds. Scaffolds are to be erected on sound, rigid footing capable of carrying the maximum intended load without settling or displacement. Inspect scaffolding at the start of your shift. Make sure that the planking is scaffold grade or equivalent as recognized by approved grading rules for the species of wood used. Overlap scaffold planking by a minimum of 12 inches or secure from movement. Make sure the scaffold planks extend over end supports not less than 6 and no more than 12 inches. Immediately replace or repair any scaffolding or accessories with defective parts. Remember to install standard guardrails over a height of 6 feet. Always maintain a minimum distance of 10 feet from a scaffold to a non-isolated electrical source. Never place more than 250 pounds of weight on individual scaffolding planks. Additional information regarding the safe use of scaffolds is available in the FNF SQP manual. Tool safety. Keep your tools in good condition. If the tools belong to the company and becomes defective, notify your supervisor or foreman and stop using the tool. Keep impact tools free from mushroomed heads. Replace cracked hammer handles immediately. Keep screwdrivers and wrenches in good condition. Never leave tools in elevated position where the tool has the potential of falling or being knocked off. Always use tools or equipment only for the purposes for which they were designed. Never drop tools from one level to another level. Excavation and trenching. Before opening any excavation, make sure that efforts are made to determine if there are underground installations in the area, including contacting the local utility company. Underground utilities must be located and supported during excavation operations. Make sure the trenches are guarded by shoring or sloping when the wall and faces of the trench is 5 feet or more deep. If employees will be entering an excavation, make sure that all excavated material is stored at least 2 feet from the edge of the excavation. If evidence of possible cave-ins or slides is apparent, cease all work in the excavation until precautions have been taken. Trenches 4 feet deep or more require adequate means of exit such as ladders or steps, located so as to require no more than 25 feet of lateral travel. Immediately report any and all unprotected openings or excavations to your supervisor or foreman. Mark off or have someone stationed to alert other employees until the proper barricades are established. Install standard railing and toe board setup for any floor openings greater than 12 inches. For openings less than 12 inches but more than 2 inches, place a cover that is secured against movement and label it "Do Not Remove." Finally, never remove a barricade. If necessary, always replace a barricade immediately. For more information on excavation and trenching safety practices, refer to the FNF SQP manual. Electrical safety. Don't work in proximity to any electrical power circuit that may be contacted during the course of work, unless protected against electrical shock by de-energizing the circuit and grounding it, or by guarding with effective insulation. When using an extension cord, make sure that it is at least the 12-gauge 3-wire type. Cords must be protected from damage and not fastened with staples, hung from nails, or suspended from wires. Never use a cord or tool with a damaged ground or worn and frayed cables. Only use concealed contact type receptacles for attachment plugs. Where different voltages, frequencies, or types of current are applied, only use receptacles with non-interchangeable attachment plugs. Cover or elevate any cable passing through work areas to protect it from damage. Electrical safety with ground fault circuit interrupters. 15 and 20 amp receptacle outlets on single-phase 120-volt circuits for construction sites which are not part of the permanent wiring of the building or structure must be protected by ground fault circuit interrupters, also known as GFCI. Overhead lines are usually not insulated. Beware of and avoid contact with any overhead lines. Before each day's use, inspect each cord set, attachment cap, plug and receptacle of cord sets, and any equipment connected by a cord and plug except cord sets and receptacles which are fixed and not exposed to damage. Check all items for external defects and possible internal damage. Remove from service or immediate repair any defective items. Make sure that the cord and plug connection equipment are grounded for all receptacles that are not part of the permanent wiring for the building or structure. Test grounded conductors for continuity. Test each receptacle and attachment cap or plug for the correct attachment to the equipment grounding conductor. Test all ground fault circuit interrupters. No electrical tool or cord may be used unless it has been tested according to the company's assured grounding program. Make sure that the non-current carrying metal parts of fixed, portable, and plug-connected equipment are grounded. Remember that the path from circuits, equipment, structures, and conduit or enclosures to ground must be permanent and continuous and have ample current carrying capacity. Lockout, tagout, hazardous energy. Hazardous energy is defined as electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic, radiation, chemical, or thermal energy which, if released, may cause bodily harm. All systems with the potential for releasing stored energy must be effectively locked and tagged out prior to construction or maintenance activities. Lockout-tagout procedures must be followed in compliance with state and federal regulations. A pre-task safety analysis is required for every activity involving lockout-tagout procedures. Every lockout-tagout is identified with a danger tag so that the persons on a job site may recognize a lockout-tagout activity. Supervisors, foremen, and every employee on a job site are responsible for compliance with the company's lockout-tagout program. Fleet safety, vehicle operation. No employee shall operate a company vehicle unless authorized to do so as required by the company's fleet safety program. All vehicle operators must comply with the requirements of the FNF Fleet SQP program. If you are a vehicle driver or an operator of rubber tire construction equipment, you must comply with job speed limits, traffic control procedures, and have a valid operator certificate or license. Welding, cutting, and hot work. You need to take proper precautions for fire prevention, such as isolating welding and cutting, removing fire hazards from the vicinity, and providing a fire watch when working in areas where welding or other hot work is being done. Make sure there is a hot work permit on file with the foreman before starting a job. Don't do any welding, cutting, or heating where the application of flammable paints or the presence of other flammable compounds or heavy dust concentration creates a fire hazard. When working with torches, always use anti-flashback devices. Remember to cover all arc welding and cutting operations with non-combustible or flame-proof shields to protect employees from direct arc rays. When electrode holders are left unattended, remove electrodes from the holder and place or protect them so they cannot make electrical contact. Make sure that all arc welding and cutting cables are completely insulated. Don't make any repairs or splices within 10 feet of electrode holder except where splices are insulated equal to the insulation of the cable. Repair or replace any defective cables. Always make sure that fuel gas and oxygen hoses are easily distinguishable and not interchangeable. Always examine your equipment immediately before use and regularly maintain your equipment. Hoses should be kept for one type of gas only and color-coded for identification. They should be examined before use for any signs of splitting which might give rise to leakage. Clips or crimps should make all connections. Regularly examine equipment, connections, and check valves for leakage. Make sure that all of your equipment is fitted with correct pressure regulators and check their operation often. Gas cylinders should be protected from falling sparks. Make sure that the regulator is working properly. Keep the torch nozzle tight. General mechanical or local exhaust ventilation or airline respirators will be provided as required when welding, cutting, or heating hazardous materials or in confined spaces. Always wear approved tinted eye protection when welding or when in areas where welding is being done. Hearing protection. Hearing protection will be worn in areas where sound levels may exceed 85 decibels. Refer to the FNF SQP manual for further details on hearing protection. Confined space. A confined space is a space large enough and so configured that a worker may enter and perform a work task but has limited or restricted means of entry or exit, and the space is not designed for continuous employee occupancy. A confined space may contain many hazards including atmospheric contaminants, oxygen deficiency, explosive gases, or vapors and a threat of engulfment. If you are required to enter into a confined or enclosed space, you'll be instructed as to the nature of the hazard involved, necessary precautions to be taken, and the proper use of protective and emergency equipment required. Compressed gas cylinders. Put valve protection caps or bonnets in place before moving, transporting, or storing compressed gas cylinders. Close all cylinder valves when your work is finished and when the cylinders are empty or being moved. Keep all compressed gas cylinders in an upright position at all times and use 2 chains to secure the cylinders. Keep cylinders at a safe distance or shield them from welding or cutting operations. Place all cylinders where they cannot become part of an electrical circuit. Store oxygen and acetylene gas cylinders in separate locations. Be sure that oxygen and fuel gas regulators are in proper working order while in use. FNF Construction current operations are hot plant, crusher plants, paving, landscape, underground utilities, and bridge construction. See your sponsor or supervisor for information on training in any of these divisions. Please familiarize yourself with the handbook so that you may know what the company expects from you and what you can expect from the company. Although this video contains much information about safety, you may have questions that are not covered in this video. Please do not hesitate to bring your questions to your supervisor. Safety, quality, and production is a way of life and an attitude. You care for yourself and others. We require our employees to work safely on our jobs and encourage them to use the same philosophy of safety off the job. If there was a company motto concerning safety, it would surely be, always remember that your personal safety is your responsibility whether at work or at home. We are very pleased that you have decided to join us.
FNF Construction encourages its personnel to familiarize themselves with the 4 points of the ZAP program. Number 1, management commitment. Number 2, programs or action plans. Number 3, training and education. Number 4, employee involvement. The ZAP 4-point program is designed with the intention of creating a safe working environment with 0 accidents. For further information concerning the ZAP program, please contact your supervisor or project sponsor.